nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
2 chairs at the table. You guys don't have to sit in the audience.
No, that's right. Chuck's gotta have a spot.
Here, Chuck, this is.
All the way up here.
So our call our meeting to order, going to pledge the annual board meeting Thursday, March 5th, Jefferson County Local Development Corporation. And it's on page 3. Peter will open up.
I have my original one, just I'll write on it.
Yeah, I ran out of ideas.
So these are not the ones that were modified, so to make sure of that. So if the minutes have been reviewed, please go to motion to accept them. Do we need a discussion of this modification?
So moved.
Bill, Paul, second. Any other discussion or modifications? None? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries, minutes accepted. Audit report with guest callers, 2 guests. And I think they're gonna walk us through what we can do better.
Thank you. Welcome. My name is Lindy Hill from Bowers and Company, Lori Podman. We'll go through the LDC report. We previously met with CEO, CFO to go through things in detail, so we'll make this brief presentation of the audited financial statements for year end December 31st.
Did you say green?
Try to be. So we'll start with the independent auditor's report, which is on page 1 of the report. So right at the top of that discloses our opinion, stating that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So that's a clean, unmodified audit opinion. We're required to be independent and meet other ethical obligations to provide that opinion. And the basis for that, overall management is responsible though for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements and internal controls to ensure that they are free from material misstatement. And then on the second page, it discloses our responsibility as the auditor, which our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and issue our opinion, which we saw on the first page. We also identify and assess risks of material misstatement for the financial statements, obtain understanding of internal control, evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used, and conclude in our judgment if there's conditions or events that you could continue as a going concern for a reasonable period of time, which is 1 year from the audit report date, which the reports were dated issued February 23rd of 2026. So a clean, unmodified opinion. Getting into the statements, on page 4 is your statement of financial position or your balance sheet. So for the LDC, cash decreased about 54% to just under 1.8 million at the end of the year. Increase in receivable due from JCIDA of 1.5 million. Overall in total, your total assets of about 3.6 million, decreasing 18% from the previous year. Liabilities in the lower section, spending down a little bit more of that ARPA money. The remaining funds of that are presented there as unearned revenue of about $559,000 at the end of the fiscal year. Total current liabilities of about $643,000. Some long-term liability in relation to your office lease. So overall total liabilities of about $775,000. Difference in your assets and liabilities is your net assets, which decreased about 17% from the previous year to just over 2.8 million. Your statement of activities on page 5, the top section for support and revenue, Jefferson County support down about 28% from the previous year. That was more of a timing item with the overlap in contracts with your fiscal year and changing from September to December in the prior year. Grant revenue representing the ARPA funds as revenue and correlating expenditure on these financial statements. So overall total support and revenue of about $605,000 in the current year. Expenditures broken down by your programs and general and administrative, which you'll see the full detail of on the next page. But overall total expenses of about 1.1 million. Which is down 48% from the previous year due to the decrease in ARPA awards issued. So overall, a change in net assets or loss for the year of $528,802. And then the Administrative fee forgiveness is presented as a direct deduction to net assets. That was the board approval to forgive the admin fee for the month of December 2024. Page 6 is your statement of functional expenses. So full breakdown of all of your expenditures broken down by natural classification. What's your programs in general and administrative? Highlighting just a few changes. Salaries and employee benefits down 7% from the previous year. No credit loss expense in the current year due to anything flowing through your allowance on the balance sheet. Grant expenses, I mentioned, decreasing significantly, and that is the issuance of any ARPA awards. And then your professional fees increasing to just over $98,000 in the current year. But overall, 70% of your expenses are direct program related and 30% for general and administrative. Page 7 is your statement of cash flow. So the financials prepared on the accrual basis of accounting. This kind of shows you the actual cash flowing in and out. So the top, your change in net assets or loss for the year, backing out non-cash expense items for depreciation and your lease payments, and then the change in balance sheet items for receivables and payables. So overall, there was net cash used in operations of about $639,000 this year, compared to just over $1 million last year. And then cash flow from investing. That is the disbursement of loans and collection of principal on outstanding loans receivable. So overall, a use of cash of about $1.4 million, overall driving the net decrease in cash of $2.1 million. The footnotes to the financial statements are very consistent with what you've seen in prior years. There's no new accounting standards or change in accounting policies. So I'll jump past note 1 and 2 and we'll go to page 12. So on the bottom of page 12 starts note 3 for your loans receivable. There you'll see the full breakdown of your outstanding loan portfolio with the total allowance for credit losses of $7,500 against the portfolio at the end of the fiscal year, with further detail on page 13. The top section, your aging of your loan receivable portfolio. So overall, about 96% of your loan portfolio is current, compared to 100% being current in the prior year. And then in the lower section there, you'll see the roll forward of your allowance for credit losses. The only change there is the approved COVID-19 loan forgiveness based on those original loan agreements. Jumping to page 16, note 6 at the bottom, related party agreements and transactions, discloses any related party items between the IDA LDC and WIC LDC. So there it does disclose information about the administrative fee, which was an amount of about $453,000 for the current year, but base board approval. That was provided as in-kind service. So as we saw, we did not see that as applicable revenue on the financial statements, as well as the December 2024 amount, which was the direct reduction to net assets on the statement of activities. And then on the top of page 17, it discloses the information for the $1.5 million loan provided to the IDA for the sewer expansion at the business park. That loan was provided bearing no interest and no formal maturity date. And then going into note 12 on page 19, that is required disclosure for a nonprofit organization, disclosing your liquidity and availability of financial assets. So summarizing your total financial assets available at the end of the fiscal year of about $3.3 million, less those unavailable for general expenditure within 1 year, which does include the $1.5 million loan to IDA, since that did not have a set maturity date. It's considered unavailable. So total assets of about $1.2 million. Available for cash needs within 1 year. And then the last report in the packet, we're required to report in accordance with government auditing standards. So it's the independent auditors for internal control. Over financial reporting, this is not an opinion report, but on the second page of that, on page 21, it discloses that during our audit, we didn't identify any deficiencies in internal control that are material weaknesses, and there were no instances of non-compliance in accordance with government auditing standards. There's 2 loose leaf letters in the back of the packet as well, which is the management letter, communication letter, and there's also a 1-page report for your investment reporting requirements for Paris. It's in there as well. So first I'll go through briefly the comments on the management letter, which are just opportunities for strengthening internal control and some housekeeping items. The first being in regards to the lending policy and allowance for credit losses. So in the current year, the organization did amend the lending collection policy, specifically section 15, in regards to the procedures for your valuation reserve or your allowance. So that expanded upon some of the requirements with the accounting standards for the measurement of the credit loss. During our testing, we noted that the allowance was approved by the board for the year end, but it didn't have supporting documentation for the assumptions and loss rate factors based on the internal risk rating classification, which would include current and future year economic expectations as of the end of the fiscal year. With the FASB standard for measurement of your expected credit loss or allowance, the standard has additionally provided a practical expedient and an accounting policy election that will be applicable for your year-end 2026. So we are recommending that you adopt that in the current year and apply that for your 2026 calculation. So that does alleviate some of the need to evaluate future economic expectations and rely on expectations and current economic conditions as of 12/31 for developing that. The accounting policy election part of it also lets you consider cash collections after the fiscal year. So if you knew you collected a loan payment after the year, that does not go into play for calculating your allowance on the outstanding piece that would have been subsequently collected. Also within the lending policy, it's noted that there's not information to define when loans would convert to non-accrual status, which would define when a loan would stop accruing interest due to default payment terms. So historically, there wasn't a consistent process or timeline for the status to determine when interest revenue would be recognized. So the recommendation when reviewing the lending policy in the current year to make required updates to be in compliance with the accounting standards regarding the measurement of credit losses in your allowance, applying that practical expedient and adopting the accounting policy election, which would be effective for your 2026 fiscal year, as well as defining non-accrual status and the time period for that within the policy. Another comment in the current year is in regards to IT controls. So part of our audit process, we do cybersecurity inquiries to review the IT controls with a questionnaire that was provided to the outsourced IT provider, and that was noted that the organization overall has never conducted a risk assessment and is lacking certain controls over IT assets and data. So areas that pose risk to that is that there's not a process for training employees on handling private information and utilizing encryption or secure file transfers. There's not formal training on cybersecurity or a documented disaster recovery plan. Also, there's not a formal review process for reviewing IT programs and controls, such as the accounting software, or process to monitor that when there is changes of employees and reviewing who has access to certain items in the programs for limitations. So overall recommendation on that, working with your outsourced IT provider to develop and begin with a comprehensive IT risk assessment, developing some of those required policies for security, privacy, data retention, access controls, and monitoring and providing training on those cybersecurity items to employees as well. So incrementally adopting some of these practices would help provide additional controls and also security over some of your assets and documentation that is available electronically. The two comments for the LDC, which we'll talk about similar with the IDA on the other side. And then lastly, the communication letter that's in there. Again, this is just required documentation and communication that we provide to the board based on the professional standards. So as I mentioned, management is responsible for the financial statements, but also for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies that we saw in note 2 to the financial statements, which did not change at all in the current year. Estimates are an integral part of the financial statements, which are prepared by management as well. Items relating to estimates that are significant to the financial statements are your allowance for credit loss, depreciation based on estimated useful lives, and also present value calculations for the right of use asset and lease liability in regards to the office lease, and the functional expense allocation, which is based on time and effort. Overall, there were no difficulties dealing with management and performing our audit. There is an attached material misstatement attached to the letter as well, with all the entries have been provided and corrected by management in your general ledger software. So overall, a clean, smooth audit without any difficulties there. Any questions for us on the LDC side?
Back to your letter where you were talking about the interest, there wasn't a defined policy for when we have a default. You're saying that we need to have more things in our loan documents, how we charge interest when there's a default. Is that what we're after? Because we've had discussions about when a project gets the default interest. Is that what we're talking about?
Correct. So you would normally accrue interest on your loans, but then in your policy, you'd have a cutoff period, whether that is 90, 120 days. So once they hit that point of being in default for that many days, then you would stop accruing interest on the loan within your accounting records. Because if not, you would be accruing that, but then having to build up your allowance to cover that if you weren't expecting to collect
Okay.
it.
Okay.
But it sounds to me like we need to redefine, almost document in a document form, our whole process of that. Is that what I'm reading from your comments, is our process to determine when and how and apply it to a template kind of a situation? We don't have a template.
From the account, from our internal accounting purposes, not so much between the borrower and us though.
Yeah.
Right?
This is
Internal-
about when,
Internally, when our accounting or the processes, after 120 days or whatever, if there's not a reasonable way we're gonna get paid down on the thing, is to stop accruing the interest.
in calculating what we have to have in our reserve for defaults, correct?
Right, because if you kept accruing it, then you would also have to increase your reserve, which washes itself out. But more agree, it's the accounting side of it, not with the lender itself. But of when you would record
Okay.
the interest receivable.
Because my question was more about, does this affect how we deal with the lender? And it's not.
No.
It's more
internal.
It's internal.
I think it's just more loose in the past, so decisions were made, sometimes it was accrued, sometimes it wasn't accrued. Change in management, there's really no guidance or consistent process for her to follow to be able to approve or not
Good.
approve.
So do you have like a 2-step or a 3-step recommendation for us to correct that?
I think that's a board thing, and I'm gonna defer to Chuck, just because you are in the lending, so don't go as far as with the banks, but I think that process,
Yeah, I think we can put something there like 120 days or whatever, as long as, unless there's for example, we got one that's getting paid off or whatever, potential sale.
That makes sense.
track it internally
Yeah.
for sure. So if they are going to make good on it, then you're gonna, of course, whatever your policy is on that, to try to capture all those, even if they weren't accrued.
Any other questions from followers?
Back to the cybersecurity. For us to go there, I look to the county. I mean, how does the county handle that? Can we go to your provider?
Very possibly, yeah. I know we have there's a canned program that all the employees go through for cybersecurity.
And there's training galore.
Yeah, we did some things last year. Specifically, it seemed to be mostly about distributed storage, like USB drives and things like that, and not using those from the outside. But we were a little bit disappointed when we were going through the list of the cybersecurity, checklist. Most of them were yeses. Certainly don't want to focus on too much of the negative, but there were some things that were a little bit surprising on the encryption side, and things we are going to work with our current vendor to make sure that all that stuff is taken care of. I don't have any concerns necessarily that our current vendor won't be able to provide the level of cybersecurity that we need.
Okay.
It's just that currently it's not there.
Who's that under?
NNY Computers.
Any other questions from followers? If we can have a motion to accept the audit report?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? We'll do your next report in 11 minutes because our meeting is published at 8:30 and I don't want to start and then have somebody come in exactly at 8:30 and we already opened the other meeting. So we'll plow through like one or two things, and at 8:31, we can just suspend where we are. And open the other meeting, suspend it, and then, because you don't, or do you have a report for the CDF? Yeah. No, that, you don't have a report for the other alphabet agency, just the other one. We'll do that. So suspending our next discussion, because it's the meeting we haven't opened, we have an annual meeting resolution on page 37. Resolution 03.05.2026.01, annual meeting resolutions of the Jefferson County Local Government Corporation, including the acceptance of annual audit, verification of certain, we already approved the audit. Verification of certain policy standards and procedures relating to the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005, as amended by Chapter 506 of the laws of 2009 of the state of New York, election of board of officers, appointing board committee positions, appointment of corporation staff and related matters. And there are 59 pages of attachments which go through pairs reporting and who does what. It's nothing new, but it's the annual meeting, so we actually have to ratify this in the form of a resolution. So if we get first and a second, we can have any discussion we need to with the 50-something pages that follow. Don, you're first. Okay.
Second, Rob.
Rob, okay. Any other discussion or questions? It is a roll call vote. Right?
Dave is absent. John?
Yes.
Rob Aliasso?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Rob Aiken?
Yes.
Greg is absent, and Dawn.
Yes.
Very good. Seems like a carry. Treasurer's report, and then we might get the right time to move to the next meeting, but I don't
You
think.
say my treasury report's
I don't
gonna
think
take
it'll
till
take 9 minutes,
8:30?
but I don't want to start Jay
Smoking
because
stuff.
he will be more than 9 minutes.
There's really not
I'm
much
just
to,
saying, there's no freaking possible way. No way.
there's really
Now,
nothing
two stomachs, it
remarkable
doesn't
in the treasurer's report to point out the balance sheet looks acceptable based on the month to month and the totals are there. There's the new sheet showing our COVID and Clayton loans and their statuses, which I really like. I hope everyone else does. And other than that, it's pretty much just a normal month. Hallelujah.
The LDC is less of a problem than the next meeting.
They'll be gone. They'll be happy. So I would move the acceptance of the treasurer's report unless someone has questions of me.
I second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? The treasurer's report carries. Why don't we clip off ARPA? Is Robin here? 'Cause
Yeah.
That doesn't normally take a ton of
Yeah,
time, so let's do that, and we just have comps reports, and we can open IDA after 8:30.
Yeah, ARPA was a quiet month. I do have a small one being put in for reimbursement for next month. So as they're coming in, we're gonna push them through. Any questions on ARPA?
Yeah, you're taking too little time.
Wait for Jay, wait for Jay.
I'm trying to fill space.
I've got my watch
But it's an actual.
and I'm writing down
It's
the
a
damn
predetermined
time.
amount of space,
I'm writing
buddy.
down the time.
Time is infinite here, not infinite. Thank you. Any questions for ARPA, Robin? Okay. Why don't we, since we have 6 minutes, marketing and manufacturing, and then we can come back to you, which I don't think we're gonna get done in the time we need, but let's just follow on. Marketing, manufacturing.
So on
I
the
don't trust you.
on the manufacturing side, we have been working with Naturally Lewis on getting our manufacturing alliance spring meeting scheduled, which will be coming up pretty shortly. Not a whole lot there. I'm gonna cede the time on the marketing. There hasn't been any changes on the campaigns, unless Robin, you can think of anything.
No.
The campaigns are currently doing. We are going to advertise in the Sacred Harbor Visitors Guide as well as the Clayton one, which is something that we've been doing for forever, and I'm supporting those. And really, that's about it for right now.
Anything to fill in?
I would, can I just say one more thing?
You say as much as you need.
Real quick, been talking with a couple of different of our manufacturers, and our goal is to have a real strong CFA presence this year. I know we've talked to Metalcraft and a couple other manufacturers about getting some CFAs in, and that's just one thing that I really would like us to. We work on it every year, and we want to have some good applications in, especially for this year.
The application to the regional.
That's the CFA is the Consolidated Funding Application through New York State, which is their primary Empire State Development grant program.
What do they do?
So they do,
No, when are they due? I'm sorry.
well, it opens up in mid-April, July.
July,
Yeah.
okay.
Usually July.
But
and
some are
July.
rolling. Mark.
So depending on the project, obviously, they'll take it any time of the year. But that's the standard timeframe for the applications. But really, right now, we're working with manufacturers to start, getting some ideas together on things that they would need. So this is really when that process starts.
CDFI, one of those do.
CDFI,
I think CDBG, sorry.
the Community Development Block Grants.
Yeah.
Just another grant program.
No, when does that due?
When is the CD?
I'm looking at John, he might know. I know you guys.
I think those are rolling
I
applications.
think those are rolling.
Are they rolling?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a CFA. Okay.
Like anything,
That's an important
if
date.
you have
That's why.
a good project, Empire State Development look at it
Yeah.
year round.
Any other questions?
And that's all I have.
Okay. Bowers, I'm gonna break my promise and not start the next meeting at 8:31. If we have one more thing, and it really won't take a tremendous amount of time.
That's correct.
He might-
No, take the time you need. I thought we were gonna have 15 minutes of other discussions.
Are we
We
gonna
still
talk
have-
power rest?
We still have like 4 minutes, so I just don't wanna start the new meeting until the published time. So let's close this meeting, we're good, and then we can move them out of here.
Sure.
Take the time you need to do the.
Well, I don't have a lot, so it
Okay.
won't be too bad. So it is approximately 8:28, just make a note of that, 8:28.
8:27 according to Microsoft.
Okay, so agricultural conference. We have our annual ag conference coming up on March 27th. I will have the marketing material going out this week. Ran into a little problem with our website we use for that. The URL had expired and I didn't realize it. And somebody took it on me, so we had to do a little redefining of our website. But not a big deal. It actually ends up with a better address than what we had. So at 9 a.m. we'll have Commissioner Ball on. He will be doing a kickoff presentation talking about ag economic development across the state, and hopefully recognizing our 25th anniversary of ag economic development here in Jefferson County. 10 a.m. Dr. Todd Smith from Cornell University, the Dyson School of Economics. He 5 years ago did an analysis of the impact of agriculture on our economy. It was a really great report, and he is redoing that. So this will be 5 years later. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with from then to now. So, and Dr. Smith's a great presenter anyway, so I'm really looking forward to his presentation. 11 a.m. we will have a panel discussion. We will have Dr. Julio Giordano. Dr. Giordano is a professor from Cornell. He specializes in dairy health management, but he goes beyond that in that he's also an AI specialist. So he's working on applications of AI to help farms better manage the health of their animals and improve their financial status. So he's going to be a really nuts and bolts technical type presentation. Then the second panelist will be Kelsey O'Shea. She's with the American Dairy Association Northeast. She works with farms on public awareness, social media, getting their messages out. And she's going to be talking about the practical application of things like ChatGPT and how to use that to improve your messaging and neighbor relations and so on. So that'll be the real practical part of the panel discussion. And then thanks to Ed, we have Paul Barton. Paul, as you know, was the founder of West Telecom, and he has a lot of knowledge on the use of AI and what's happening in the business world. And so Paul is going to take us outside of the agricultural spectrum, but talk about the application of AI applications that can help you do a better job of handling your finances, analyzing your financial situation, and so on. He may have his son join him. That's not for certain yet. His son Ben is operating their farm and is using AI in that operation. So that panel, they'll start at 11. We'll go through 3 20-minute presentations, have them done at noon. We're going to break for a quick lunch. And as soon as lunch is over, we're going to go into a town hall discussion, which I'll facilitate. And don't want it to be just a Q&A. Want it to be more of a conversation of the audience and the presenters, and talk about agriculture, especially as it relates to the presentations that we've heard throughout the morning. Don't know if we'll quite achieve that, but that is the goal, is to have more of a discussion on agriculture than anything else.
When are the registrations going up?
They will start today.
Okay.
Hopefully, as long as I don't run into any more little glitches. I'm almost there. So that is the Ag Conference. That's March 27th at the Hilton Garden Inn. We're going to have a good lunch, so please join us. Dairy Parade Friday, June 7th. Nothing to say on that. Downtown Block Party. This is part of the public awareness work that we do. Dairy Month starts the beginning of June, ends at the end of June. There isn't a lot else that happens, which is very disappointing to me, but we're going to solve a little bit of that. We do the Dairy Parade. That's the kickoff of Dairy Month. I've been working with the Downtown Block Party group. Their first Downtown Block Party is Friday, June 26th, and it now has a moo theme to it.
Oh, dancing cow.
Well, you'll see. So they've got a big local country music band, Josh Cox and the Rattlesnakes. They're very popular. They're going to be the headliner. There's going to be all kinds of country music. Working on, I haven't confirmed it with them yet. In fact, they don't know yet. But we're going to have the Dairy Princess program, the dunking booth, the money raised there is going to go to benefit them. Going to be looking for all of you to get in the dunking booth to help out, especially you, Rob. And then we're bringing in some ag exhibits, tractor equipment, and so on. Again, we want to preach to the people that don't normally get the ag message. Downtown Block Party, I helped with those all last year. That's a really good place to hit people that don't normally get our ag message. Beyond that, we're working with Cornell Cooperative Extension on their shared use kitchen. We received grant approval, but we've had to work with Extension and Empire State Development to redo the amount of money that we will receive. Looks like we will be able to start moving forward with that. It should be a very good project. We have spent a lot of time working on dairy processing. If anybody has any questions on dairy processing, I'd be happy to answer after the meeting is over. And then CWT Farms, as those of you on the loan review committee saw, we are waiting to see if they will move forward with their expansion. I expect that to happen, but we don't have the formal yes or no yet. So, and if anybody has questions on CWT Farms, I'd be happy to answer them afterwards. Sir, it is 8:34. It's
You've
not
done well.
too bad. Right?
7 minutes. I was
8:34.
budgeting 9. But you've exceeded my expectations.
And I'm writing it down
Yeah.
just so I've got record.
4 gold stars for Jay.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like the
It's not out
record
of
show
10 either. It's out of 5.
from Jay's comment on CWT, because of how important they do look at for community support, and And we love CWT and we're excited about this project. And we're hoping that we're able to get this one through.
There's nothing scheduled for council and new business unless somebody speaks up now. We can move to adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
And a second.
Second.
And all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining, not normally, but we stand adjourned. So we can open our next meeting, Jefferson County Industrial Development, annual board meeting, March 5th, 2005. We're going to call to order, done pledge, any privilege of the floor. Okay, minutes on page 3. We had a modified, council's offered a couple suggestions, mainly within the slip lane verbiage. Did everyone receive the modified minutes? Okay, that's what we're gonna be approving. Unless the board doesn't agree, which we'd be foolish.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion on the changes or anything else in the minutes? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? The modified minutes are carried. Apologies. It's only 5 minutes late. So 5 minutes beyond promise. That's not too bad.
So now we will go through the Jefferson County IDA audit reports. So these are consolidated financial statements of the applicable entities that we'll see. Similar to the LDC, the independent auditors report, starting on page 1, the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. So overall, it is an unmodified, clean opinion for the IDA as well, with the same responsibilities for both management and us as the auditor. There is supplementary information within the IDA packet. That's management's discussion and analysis, which is on pages 5 through 18, which is more of a 2-year comparison prepared by management. So if you read through that, you'd have an overview of the annual operations. There's also supplementary information, which is the combining schedules and more detailed schedules for general and loan operations of the IDA, which are there for your reading as well. And similar reports were dated February 23rd, 2026. So I'll skip past the MD&A and you can read through that at your own leisure and go to page 19, which starts the actual financial statements. So the first is your statement of net position. Again, these are consolidated, so that is the IDA, LDC, and JCCFDC, which you'll see the individual breakdown in the supplementary schedules in the back. Overall cash of about 2.5 million, restricted cash of about 2.4 million. In total, cash decreased about 31% from the previous year. Loan receivables decreasing in total about 33% as well, to an outstanding balance of just over 900,000 in total. In total assets, 12.6 million, which is down about 16% from the previous year. The liability section, overall, your total current liabilities decreasing about 72% to 702,000. The large decrease due to the spending and use of your ARPA funds, which were presented as unearned revenue. So overall total liabilities of just over 1 million at the end of the year, which is down 65% from the prior year. Difference in your assets and liabilities is your net position. So total net position of about 11.6 million, with 2.3 million of that being unrestricted. Page 20 is your statement of revenue, expenses, and change in net position. So the top section, your operating revenues, down about 33% from the prior year to 597,700. Expenses for operations, total operating expenses of about 1.5 million in the current year, which is down 7% from the prior year. The difference being your net operating loss of about 946,000 for the fiscal year. And then your non-operating items for grant income and expenses and interest income. The grant revenue exceeding your expenses, being that those were relating to the airport park and capitalized as capital assets on your statement of net position for a positive 463. So the net of that, a change in net position for the year overall, or loss of $482,329. Page 21 and 22 is your statement of cash flows. Again, consolidated though of all entities, direct method. So the top section on page 21 is your operations. So overall, you used cash in operating activities this year of just over 355,000. You had cash flows relating to non-capital financing activities. So that is grant monies coming in and out, as well as the pilot monies that flow through this, the entity. So overall cash used in non-capital financing activities of just over $1 million. That is the payout of ARPA funds that cash came in prior years. Cash flow from capital and related financing activities. Any capital related grants in additions to your capital assets were depreciated, so use of cash of about $822,000. Some investing activities for interest income received, so overall leaving you with a net decrease in cash of about $2.2 million. Page 22, similar as we saw in the LDC deck, shows you really the accrual to cash basis with the net operating loss, and then change in those related items for receivables and payables, and how that reconciles back to your cash used in operations that we saw on page 21. The notes to the financial statement, similar as you have seen in priors with no change in accounting policy. So similar, I will jump to note 3, which is on page 29, summarizing the loans receivable. They're just highlighting the portion relating to the IDA, so the restricted balances for your revolving loan program, micro enterprise and city loan program, net of any allowance, with detail on the following pages. Page 31, there you'll see the activity in regards to the revolving loan fund with the net allowance of that. So outstanding loans of $1.4 million, allowance recorded against that of about $837,000 for the net balance of $571,000. The micro enterprise program on page 32, total outstanding loans of about $85,000 and $8,000 allowance for the net receivable of just under $77,000. And then the city loan program with one outstanding loan with an allowance of $11,836 recorded against that at the end of the fiscal year. Page 33 gives you the rolling of the allowance based on each loan program. So you will see within those, there were no actual write-offs or credit losses in the current year, just changes in your provision for the recorded allowance. Page 34, you will see the aging report for all loans combined, IDA and LDC. So overall, out of the total loan portfolio, about 27% of your total outstanding loans are classified as current. The other 32, at minimum 30 or more days past due. The top of page 35, you'll see note 4 for grant receivables. So that shows you the breakdown. There's 3 outstanding grant payments receivable at the end of the fiscal year to cover 2025 and prior expenditures relating to the airport park. So in total of about $868,000 outstanding to be collected from those various grant agencies. Note 8 on the bottom portion of page 36 summarizes your capital assets. So in the current year, there was some more costs relating to the airport park, which has been tracked as work in progress, being that the majority of the work there is completed in regards to the sewer line that has been placed in service and is now being presented as infrastructure and will be depreciated over its estimated useful lives. And the balance remaining in work in progress is relating to the intersection project. Jumping to page 39, note 12 summarizes the ARPA grant revenue. So in the 2025 fiscal year, the IDA recognized and paid out the final $916,000 for ARPA funds. So that is presented as revenue and expenditure in the applicable financial statements. Note 13 provides additional information on the airport park and the related grants that we saw in receivables. With the grant terms and those items similar, all each remaining in grant receivable at the end of the fiscal year at 12/31. Note 15 for related party transactions on page 42, similar on the LDC side, discloses information in regards to the administrative fee. So the amount charged to the agency of the IDA by the LDC was about $453,000 for the admin fee, which was waived. So that is not included as revenue or expense on the applicable and combined financial statements. Page 44 starts those combining schedules. So just highlighting a couple of the key items for the column for just IDA itself. So the IDA overall has total assets of just over 11 million, outstanding liabilities of 2.4 million, in total net position of about 8.7 million. Noting there is a deficit of unrestricted net position of about 516,000, which has decreased from a deficit of about 903,000 in the prior year. Page 45 for the combining schedule for revenues expenses, a change similar, just looking at the IDA column. The IDA had operating revenues of $157,322 this year, operating expenses of over $572,000 for a net loss of about $415,000, with the grant-related items for revenues and expenditures, leaving you with a change in net position or income for the year of about $36,700. And as mentioned with the LDC, the forgiveness of the December 2024 admin fee is a direct reduction to the net position, which is eliminated in the combining schedules. Page 48 and 49 is the financial statements for the LDC broken down by your general operations in each loan program. So those are available for viewing as well, as those are all restricted funds. And on page 49, there you'll see the actual activity within each of the loan programs. So overall for the IDA, general operations had a net operating loss of about $158,000. The revolving loan fund, a loss of about $284,000. Positive income for the micro enterprise, about $24,000, and $3,000 for your city loan program. The last report, similar for the IDA, we're required to report in accordance with government auditing standards. Similar, that report does not provide an opinion, but on the top of page 51, it discloses there's no material weaknesses, and we did not disclose any matters of noncompliance in accordance with government auditing standards. The management letter for IDA basically is replication of what we talked about with the LDC, so I'm not going to repeat through the comments on the lending policy or IT controls. Those are the same as we talked about. There is an additional comment for budgeting procedures within the IDA letter, though. That overall the agency does adopt the annual budget at the beginning of the fiscal year based on projected expenditures and certain recurring revenue sources. In recent years, expenditures have exceeded expected recurring revenues. However, the balancer budget through inclusion of anticipated pilot or sale leaseback revenue that are not reasonably expected to be realized within the fiscal year. So as a result, the budgets have incorporated overly optimistic assumptions and unattainable revenue targets, contributing to the recurring deficits for the agency that we saw in the financial statements. So recommendation that management ensure the budget development and monitoring process is more reasonable with supportable assumptions for revenues and the likelihood that they would be realized within the fiscal year. So aligning those revenue projections with historical performance, executed agreements, and also distinguishing between operating revenues and non-recurring items such as those pilot and sale leaseback revenue items. And also monitoring that budget versus actual with any timely adjustments throughout the year as necessary. There's also the required audit report for your Paris reporting for the investment report, which is required, and then the communication with the board letter, which seems similar as the LDC. There's estimates within the financials in regards to depreciation and your allowance for credit losses. We had no disagreements with management or difficulty performing our audit. Any of the adjustments have been provided to management, and for material entries for the IDA are attached to that communication letter as well. But overall, a clean audit, especially with the transition of CFO, and we appreciate really the assistance in working through the process and transition coming in during the audit time. Questions on IDA?
Yes. And it could be just having a brain cramp here. We show on our treasurer's report salaries and benefits under the LDC, and I look at page 20, and you're counting the salaries and benefits under the IDA. Is there a reason for that I don't understand?
So these beginning pages are consolidated. So that's the
Okay.
IDA plus the LDC
Gotcha.
plus the FDC.
All the alphabets.
So the combining schedules in the back. if
It was
you look
really
at
just a
the
test of
IEP
you,
column.
not of my.
Any other questions?
The airport park is an asset. What's the value that, as of this year, we put on that asset?
So that is all the costs incurred to date.
That's what we show,
for-
is just whatever cost is
Yep,
incurred.
architectural,
So that's just a book value, that's not
in
market value.
Yeah.
sewer work by contractors and such.
That's the way we manage that.
Any other questions?
No, I move the acceptance of the
Well,
auditors.
knowing that it's actually in the next resolution, we don't need to do this twice. I didn't read
Okay.
the first one well enough. So the audit will be accepted in the next resolution.
Okay.
We can skip doing that one twice, if we don't need Bowers anymore. Any other questions?
Thank you
As we
very
move
much.
on, they're excused.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you.
So page 6-7, resolution 03.05.2026.01, annual meeting resolutions of the Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency, the agency, including the acceptance of the annual audit, ratification of certain policy standards and procedures relating to the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005, as amended by Chapter 506 of the laws of 2009 of the state of New York, election of board of officers, appointing board committee positions, appointment of agency staff and related matters. And again, there's 50 or 60 pages of the parish reports and everything else that we as a board obtain and can review and audit. This resolution will accept all of that. So we have a motion to move the resolution. Paul?
Yes.
Lisa, for a second. Any other discussion? There's a lot of attachments. Barring any, it's a roll call vote.
Dave is absent. John,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and Lisa.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution carried. So skipping down to 138, we only have the second thing on our agenda. Treasurer's report. It's also rather long. Paul?
Treasurer's report is long.
It's like 14
We
pages.
just listened
Maybe.
to it.
Maybe.
No,
I
there's,
guess it seems long, but it's probably the right.
I didn't see anything jumping out at the revenues and operations. We'll talk about one thing at least in the alternative energy report,
Okay.
but in earlier discussions with Dorina, there's a couple solar projects that have pilots that are delinquent in their payments. Is that an accurate statement?
Correct.
At some point, we should consider turning it back over to them and make the projects taxable if it's going to continue. They may be in bankruptcy now, but I can't see if this is going to drag out, a pilot doesn't become a lien against the property, where if we wipe out the pilot and make them taxable, it becomes a lien. But that's going to be up for advice from Justin on how to proceed on a pilot, but that's not for right now. You'll see the status of our loans, not much changing there. I was told there was a difference in the Conval Energy total amount due was recalculated.
I think the additional, like, there's some values missing in your dashboard
Okay,
based on what we did at council. And I think it's because of that extra 200.
It's probably, yes.
And then whatever related interest and late fees associated with it. It's a different number than what we gave council for payoff from your dashboard. And I'm assuming the numbers came from you.
Yes.
just again, page
explain.
149 of our packet, just so you know how much packet, is another one of the new reports that Doreen is doing that are very helpful. And I hope everyone takes the time to look at it.
Now they're super helpful.
And we got a taste of the dashboard that Doreen is going to give us to go through the finances that we'll see when we meet up at Hilton Garden Inn later this month. JCC? JCC, okay. It'll be a learning environment for all of us. And that would be my only comments on the Treasury report, unless there's questions.
All right, with that motion, Drew?
Yes.
I'll call it as a motion. Do we have a second to accept the treasurer's report?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion?
So do I understand the two solar projects that are in default on their pilot, they're both in bankruptcy?
I'm not sure they're in default. They're late in making their payments. There's two projects that are, I don't know,
Is
they're
that the
supposed
one
to
that's
pay
on
by the
here?
end of
It's like,
January.
Is that the one that's on here? There's four $32,000 payments. I don't want to say the company name, but, okay. it's-
Well, you can say it's taxation,
Well, it
it's
says
public
DG or
information.
Something son, if it's the one. that-
So,
I hate to point out the wrong company, but I think that's what I read.
Uh, Well, we can talk about it later if you'd
Well,
like.
that's fine. We can go into alternative energy because I do think we want to get advice from council. If there's a timing issue, we don't want to get into a situation where we really just have a default loan and guarantee of like nothing versus lien acts that are available through foreclosure.
Well, we don't have a loan to them. It would be their pilot payments.
Yeah, well, I consider a pilot as like a loan. It's probably the wrong term, but
Okay.
your point being, we can't convert to a lien. We can convert to a default, and collecting money from nothing, as we
Yeah.
already know, is not a good method.
So-
All right, any other discussion on treasurer's report? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? So that'll carry. I guess, Paul, alternative energy.
Well,
Anything else you want to add?
yes, we had a meeting with
EDF.
no, it wasn't EDF.
No, something.
AES.
I'm sorry.
AES over the
sorry.
Sapphire project and their concerns about our pilot payment schedule versus the state's model for valuing and what happened to it. I never got a call from Neil Habig to
Okay.
work with him over it, but my gut feeling is we aren't going to hear from them or close with them without additional pressure.
Okay.
Or until the state releases their model so they can do their calculations. So it's not good news. My gut feeling is they'll never close on the pilot.
Okay. Maybe as a question, we can ask council, but like at the next board meeting, if we need to do some form of a resolution to close the project and send them a final bill, Justin, could you maybe advise us? We can do this at the next board meeting, but what do we need to do to close this out and send them a bill and say, okay, you haven't come to us, we can restart and you can pay? Is that kind of where we're at?
For an existing pilot that is in default, is that the question?
No, this
we
is
haven't
about-
closed.
One we haven't closed.
So it's
Sapphire.
one we haven't closed
Wow.
yet, and so we have some legal fees, we know that. And they did fall under the new application thing where there was like advanced in escrow, I believe. So we want to know what steps do we take to kind of say, we haven't heard from you, sorry, we're done.
Yeah, we expressed that to them during our meeting so we can follow up with them. In full disclosure, I'm not sure exactly what they were asking at that meeting.
I'm not sure they knew what they were asking, to be honest with you.
Well,
Other than
I
we
believe
haven't
they
tried
were,
to talk.
their goal was to set the stage for asking for a reduced pilot payment schedule, which I think is a slap in the face to others.
But I think they were also misunderstood the fact we can never exceed the discounted whatever value, like we can't go beyond full taxation. So I think there was a misunderstanding that if sometimes our payment could be more than what the state does or doesn't determine.
To be clear, I think that their concern was that if they got locked into this and they would be in a negative position if we weren't able to alter it after the fact. And Justin did make it clear to them that we could change based on the model and their payments. And since it can't go higher than full taxation, we can amend this after the fact.
I thought we made that abundantly clear
I
during the meeting.
I do feel that we did make that abundantly clear, but they weren't 100% clear on that before the meeting.
All right.
Which is also why, and I do totally agree that we're taking the right steps in preparation for the possibility of them not closing. Based on my conversations with Neil, I believe that based on that, the fact that we are able to amend the payment schedule after the fact, that and this is just my belief, I do believe that they will end up closing on this project. But I do also believe that we should take steps to be prepared for that not happening, which is what we're doing.
So I guess we would look for advice from you. It doesn't have to be given this moment, but take the steps we need to.
Sure, yeah, that's fair. And to clarify, we're not gonna amend anything. The pilot will just say they're gonna pay the lower up.
Yeah,
The
okay,
pilot
yeah.
will say one thing, and if they happen to have a pilot payment based upon the formula that exceeds what the assessor says in a given year is full taxes, then they pay the full tax amount. And then they can decide at that point, is it worth keeping themselves inside the pilot, maybe walk away, I don't know.
Well, the
That
other
being said,
issue
let's
with,
just give a date. April 1, May 1?
I suppose before our next board meeting, so that if you need some board action that has to take place, if it's simple council to council, take the action, send them a letter, you pick the date, but if you need us as a board to say, yes, we agree, I would do it before our next board meeting. What I'm guessing is like.
May 1st is tentative roll date. That's a nice date.
So we really need to do it
You know,
within
you
April.
got to understand the other thing. If they become taxable, it drops it out of any taxing jurisdiction's tax cap calculation too. But they also had the other thing. We have a fee. If they're full taxation, is there enough delta between what full taxation would be when you add the fee into it?
That's their decision.
I know that, but there's a lot of unknowns with
Okay.
New York State with the modifications to the law. They've added new expenses,
Aspect of
and
my life.
so until that comes out,
Okay.
I wouldn't make a decision until I could see that. But
Yeah. So Justin, I guess we would look to you if you can, I don't think we're demanding anything accelerated. This has been like a 6 to 12 month discussion. So we're just saying, this is our last date of closing, and at that moment, the pilot's no longer offered, whatever legal terms you need to put in there, but I think it's either done or they can submit an application and restart.
I think Justin's one sentence amendment to the pilot documentation is all they really needed.
But I think it's already in
Well,
there. We can never.
and again, Justin did, I phrased it incorrectly. It's not an amendment. It's
It's
they
the lower
take the
of.
lower of.
Okay.
And so that's where I think, and again, they just weren't clear on that leading. So that's why my thinking is that they will end up closing on this. However, I'm not, certainly not,
So we're gonna use May 1st?
No, I was thinking April 1st, Justin mentioned, so we could take action at our April board meeting, because why would you wanna push it to the tax roll date, right?
Yeah, it's March 1, it's the tax roll date.
Or not tax roll.
March 1 is taxable
Oh,
roll.
right.
May 1st is tentative roll,
Okay.
where they get notified whether
Alright,
they're exemption or they're fully
so
taxable.
wouldn't we rather know on April 1 where this project stands, or can we wait?
I would
till
have
May
liked
1?
to know 3 months
Well,
ago. to be honest
I
with you.
agree, I mean, so the end of this month or April 1st, that's unfortunate April Fool's date, but that's a date. And then if you do require some action by the board, it would be before our board meeting, and they would have exceeded whatever date you put out to, at the last moment, we can continue this discussion. And that gives everybody time.
If we give them an April 1 deadline, and that's kind of where your patience wears off. If they haven't closed by that date, you meet on April 2nd, and you can rescind the inducement.
Okay, that's what I guess we need to do, is I assume there's some board action, and I don't want to miss like a whole nother.
yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
just one thing, we also learned that 4 of the 5 large projects that are in Jefferson County that are solar are now owned by AES. They purchased the Tracy project. So this is not the last we'll deal with them.
And I think the question to ask, if you follow that trail, is what portion of that potentially is owned by New York State Power Authority?
I guess it
Just
doesn't,
quick to point out, we got a notice associated with a number of other larger and smaller projects statewide. AES was just bought out by BlackRock, and partially, Cutter, the governmental authority, is investing. They just bundled all of AES, and that's going to close within the next 12 months. And their big play is data centers. I'll share the news article that came out of Reuters 2 days ago.
thank you.
So there's something in the background here that I think probably from a corporate level, they're taking a look at everything right now.
Okay.
So maybe this will
But
wake up somebody and they'll get this one done.
I guess my comment to that is, I mean, we have a business proposition, we have agreement with the county, we have a UTEP. It may not work for every operation, and that's it. So people can either accept a pilot or not accept a pilot. I mean, it's that simple. We're not negotiating unless we get into the alternate distribution where there's like some bigger projects, which, you know, we've spoken about.
So,
No, if they decide to not approach us for these bigger projects, there's full taxation option. There's other options, and we've made it clear, and the county has made it clear, every pilot will come through this agency. They're not gonna talk to the school and give a host of community agreements. I think we've made it clear. We just have to enforce those guidelines.
but it seems to me though, especially with what Justin has just said, and the fact that all 4 of those projects are now under one entity, one investment entity. You look at the 2 power grid systems, substations that are built out, the hundreds of millions of dollars, over $100 million, I'll guarantee. Those projects are in Jefferson County. They're 4 large projects, and to me, it says they're gonna get built.
Well, there are 4 large proposed projects.
Well, but
No.
look at them,
Well,
2
some
or
of them
3
are
of
actually
them-
built.
and I
We
don't
have
think
3
they're gonna involve
permitted
pilots.
Yeah, that's true. Some of them are built and permitted, but
I don't expect to see, we're gonna see a pilot.
anyway.
We on the big ones, we do expect to that's, again, I mean, I'm just going by what they tell us.
I think we'll get,
But coming back to the valuation model, I mean, that's gonna be the determining factor.
at the end of the day, it's back to this, it's the lesser of. We can't charge more than full taxation. So that's the business proposition. That's the deal for every single entity that comes here, whether it's a hotel, a restaurant, you know, whatever is allowed under or UTEP. There's not like some carve out that this niche gets special treatment.
But should they be built, we should that's gonna be one of the largest solar
I think should be.
build outs in this country.
Driving along the St. Lawrence River yesterday, there's so many power lines that already come to New York. There's energy produced outside of the state, much cheaper than the state and much less regulated.
That would be it for me. In more than one way.
Building and grounds, I think there's a report starting on 153. Yes.
So as far as the Building and Grounds Committee meeting, we did review and discuss a request by National Grid for an easement on our property up on the industrial park on Coffeen Street. Fair amount of questions that were tossed back and forth. The ultimate committee, ultimately we were tabled the request, further consideration by Justin on getting our expenses paid for by National Grid, mostly legal expenses. We expect to see
Environmental
in it along with the environmental review.
Yeah.
So we'll have another meeting in March to answer those questions, expecting that we would recommend the board consider it at the April meeting.
And I have communicated with them about that, and they're getting their, it was that seeker piece that we're required
Right.
to have for the easement. And that's what they're putting together for us.
You ever see such a simple project evolve into being a huge project the way that one has? As far as man hours,
And,
time,
easement,
communications, yep.
Yeah,
Very
if it's an
simple
IDA,
easement, yeah.
it becomes a tricky situation with the environmental review.
Correct. More to come next month.
Anything else under that report, Tom?
I don't think so.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? We'll move to one review. I'll speak for Dave. So we had at least 3 discussions, and there's resolutions that follow some of them. So we did meet with 3 Mile Bay Ventures and one of their proposed new partners, I think proposed is the right term, to talk about an accelerated closing on the initial application fee and closing up the loan, and they have some plans to do that. We set some deadlines. I don't really recall what date it was, but it's soon. And we were supposed to hear back from them about how to effectively close out this debt. And there's an acceptance from the borrower to do that, and they seem to be very meaningful that they could get where they needed to. And I think within loan review, there was some comfort that this was legitimate. It just might be a timing issue. It might be a May thing or an April thing. We just don't have some certainty on that.
Marshall, you had alluded to at the last meeting that their plan they were working on a couple months ago was no longer viable. Is
No.
this a new one, or is this?
No,
the same?
this is the same plan,
Okay.
and they're continuing.
Yeah.
Good.
Working through that.
They hired a company to help with a capital raise as well.
And they may end up being a partner, but they're not yet. Then we moved on to Treehouse, Arley Child Care LLC. We went through some of their financials. Dorena did point out a couple of areas where maybe an expectation is based solely on an increase in rates that may or may not happen. Again, a timing issue. Is that a fair way to say it? Okay. So like there's an expectation, an increase in rates that are afforded to all healthcare is what the basis of the loan is. And Dorena felt, coming from the healthcare industry, that A, it may not happen, and B, it may happen like over a period of time that's outside of, so there's some uncertainty on that recoupment. And if there's anything else I need to add on that, please interrupt me, because I'm trying to just paraphrase this. And we'll go through the resolutions with the dollar amounts and this, that, and the other. So it was moved. We thought it would be worth the whole board having a healthy discussion. This is a more risky loan. It's certainly not something we need to take lightly. We have to look at it, but it is a very important industry within the area. Childcare, their existing operations, it's an ongoing operation. So I think there's a balancing act we need to take here. And then Colleen's Cherry Tree, there was a discussion. I'm just trying to recap what the heck, where we ended up with this. So we recommended at the loan review to push through July 1, because there's certain, their whole debt is being restructured, and there's a belief that the whole payment can be made, which it's $18,000 in total. So we gave to July 1 to let nature take its course and see this out, and feel that that's the lowest risk option. It's a timing issue.
That's the
if I'm
property
saying
that,
this wrong, let me know. But I
the
think
property is for sale, I
we
thought.
believe so. I haven't seen it posted, but we believe it's for sale. But the whole debt is being restructured within their company. And so that's why we, with good belief, feel that our lowest risk is just to wait a few months and let nature take its course. So our loan repayment is 18.4, 18.8 or something of that nature.
Is it put it to
Compared-
interest only till July 1st?
Yes, yeah, so we agreed,
To defer
interest
principal.
only to July 1.
Yeah.
And I think Dorena, you've been in contact with them. And then we already covered this in alternative energy, so I'm not going to recap it. But we had a gas DEA Solar. Mr. Neil Habig was here to represent them. There was a discussion and possibly misunderstanding about how pilots work and how we cannot go beyond full taxation. And basically every year, New York State changes the evaluation model. So like the developer may have a different taxing number every year, but we're offering certainty. We're just offering certainty with a cap or a basement, and they get the benefit of never paying more than full taxation. So it's a discussion that we've already had. I'm not going to rehash that one. and we'll just wait to hear. And I think we've already agreed to have council approach their council or their management to say, we'd like your answer by April 1st, so that if we need to reject the inducement resolution and move on with either a new application or payment, and we have some certainty there. WIC LDC, Watertown Industrial Development, we covered a lot. WIC LDC, there was a discussion there about their new pilot. We'll read the particulars of the resolution, but they're essentially keeping status quo. I think there was an increase within the old pilot fee or amount, like, or did it stay status quo? Okay, stagnant. That's what I thought. And then Jay presented a pre-submission. We talked about a potential expansion with CWT Farms. So we just kind of reviewed some plans, and so there's really no action, but we just reviewed some things and said this may be coming soon. It's about 16,000 square feet. Additional expansion within their current facility, and it was already approved by Town of Watertown, Lisa, or City of Watertown? Town. Okay. I didn't think it was in the city. I saw your name in there, so that's why I wasn't. Oh, that was county planning that approved it, or was it? Okay. I just saw your name that it was approved last night. I didn't see which agency. County planning. And then that meeting is adjourned. So we have a bunch of resolutions that might cover these in a little bit more detail, but if you have some comments now about any of these generically, I think there's more details under each one. Whichever you desire. We can kind of go through each one as we read the resolution.
I just had a couple comments.
Go right ahead. There's a lot.
Believe it or
I
not,
forgot
I do
we
look
covered
through
some.
these, and just about the treehouse, I did notice a significant drop from 2024, it looks like they came close to breaking even. In 2025, it looks like over a $200,000 loss. Why is that?
Dorina, was that rates only? I think you're more.
They had a change in their financial revenue sources in 24 with the city of Watertown, or between 24, the school district, sorry.
I saw that in the news. So when
Right.
they talk about they're doing a proposal to the state for, it's like over $43 a day, something like that per child. Is that what they're getting when they were with the city or the
I
school
wouldn't
district?
know what they were getting with the city school district, but they are trying to start a new revenue stream with the special needs sector of healthcare. And with that, they're starting, I mean, they may have already been doing that prior, but now they're really expanding and trying to come up with a new source of income.
So is their projected revenue 2026, is that based on that new rate, having full capacity?
That's the assumption.
And the new rates. Correct, Dorina? So like right now, Rob, they actually have to apply to some state agency. I don't know what it is, but
Department of
whoever governs healthcare rates.
Medicaid rate.
And so they submit like, hey, we think we need X. The state can say, yeah, we'll give you X, or you're gonna get X minus 2. I mean, I don't know the process is that simple, but what you ask for isn't necessarily
So
guaranteed.
they did propose this new rate?
They've received a starting rate for a new facility, but they have now to go through the process through state budget process to get the new proposed rate that they're coming up with, not necessarily their cost report.
So they have applications and such that to fill out for that? I'm just curious.
The Department of Health awards these mid-year-ish, or they rolling?
So- About a year ago, the whole Watertown City School District thing came to light where they were, right? So she, about a year ago or so, started to get her permitting and state, whatever you gotta do with state, to allow her to go with a special needs students versus a traditional pre-K or whatever student.
Mhm.
And because the school took away, or the 2 classrooms in Ohio Street, she's transitioning to special needs. The rates with the special needs students is significantly higher than the reimbursement rates for a traditional pre-K student. So again, I give her credit there. She was already ahead of it. So in anticipation from the school district saying no formally to the classroom, she can transition to the special needs students to, again, from a business perspective, make up the gap, so to speak, from losing 2 classrooms. So she has all of her stuff. She's doing the special needs now. She started doing it, I believe, October. So now, my understanding, I could be wrong, Doreen and Holler or whatever, if I'm completely off. Then in October, she started the classrooms and has accumulated, I guess, revenues that she's gonna be submitting to New York State. But right now, they're negotiating or whatever that reimbursement rate.
So children with special needs start in October.
Yeah, so she's being old, right?
So that's for the 89,000?
That's where the working capital would be needed in the event that if she gets the money from New York State, she's not gonna need it. But if it is needed, she's gonna need to make payroll, stuff of that nature, right, to provide her services until the reimbursement from New York State for October, November, December, January. Now here we're in February, goes back in, which would be used to pay down.
So you vetted this pretty well. You know, what if she doesn't get it?
Well, that's
And it's a
that's
bridge
all.
loan.
That's
I mean,
that's all.
basically, it's a
different.
bridge loan is if she doesn't get it, and then she has to find other
Well,
revenue sources.
I think we're missing the point. This is a participation loan.
Correct.
Okay, it's $180,000 ask, I think, totally. And the Watertown Trust is willing to, has already committed to the whole amount, and they want to know if we want to be a partner.
Correct.
John, I wasn't scrutinizing. I just had questions.
I understand.
Yeah.
To call me John?
John. That's your brother.
By
I was
my
thinking of-
brother's name? Will come across this
I
table.
thought you
Sorry,
said John. I didn't hear it.
No,
record
if you paid attention to the auditors, I think if Watertown Trust, this is not a time to participate in a high, I shouldn't say,
She's covered.
Higher risk.
high risk.
It is a higher risk loan. And
And
we just-
I don't
we
think
discussed
we
that
should say no, but I think we should make, if the Watertown Trust is willing to do it, I think it's maybe,
I agree.
so we did discuss it in the loan review, maybe we do 10 or 15 or even as high as 20 or 0. I mean, but
The full disclosure too, I'm the loan officer on that credit, and this credit.
even higher risk.
The full disclosure, so.
But, so I think, Rob, the one point that they both made is the revenues that we have in here are based on the expected reimbursement rate from New York. They're not based on her approved rate, and there is a delta. So this is, as Chuck said, kind of a bridge loan to get to the point where New York State, and it's very likely they're gonna say yes, but they have to get the money to actually bridge that.
And to your point, what if this thing doesn't happen? That's kind of why I referred her to the Watertown local, or the economic development agencies, because now it's kind of going down the economic development road, because traditional banking isn't gonna underwrite something like that, right? As far as all the unknown factors. So now we're looking at the economic development side and the needs that this provides the community, the payroll, keeping the staff paid, and stuff like that. And this is in our backyard. So that's why I had to go Kylie, and I think everybody on board at that point. So,
If I can just
Go ahead.
jump in here, because there are a lot of unknowns here. And for all the reasons that we said, I'm not sure necessarily, and whatever pleases the board, but given all of the unknowns and the fact that they're still negotiating with New York State, I'm not sure what's more appropriate. And I'm wondering if maybe tabling this would be the most appropriate. However, obviously the board wants to go, but
Okay, well, why don't I read the resolution? It's an ask. I think at loan review, just like Paul said, we can modify it. If we don't have to provide 60, it could be anything between 0 and 60. I don't think we'll want to go higher than 60 clearly, but there's a co-participation. There's, I think, a couple funding agencies in here. So we'll read the resolution and then we can.
And I would also add, to protect our interest, this agency's interest, we should monitor the expenses going out, meaning if this was to be approved, it's not like she's gonna get it tomorrow and have carte blanche to it. She should show that goes to the payroll expenses, and I believe it's set up where they're gonna be doing 2 like advances, so to speak. The only, my concern would be if you're at a table or something like that, and it came up, and she needs to make payroll like that, what's the likelihood we can turn this around with attorneys and all that stuff to close? That's the only concern I would have if you were to table for another meeting. If needed, it should be ready, but the same token, if needed, or if it's approved, she doesn't get this until.
Understood.
So
The key point being though is that the Watertown LDC has approved it though already for that full amount. So,
Good point.
so it is, I just want to make sure that that if
We're gonna back.
if we decide to not move forward, they're covered. Yeah.
Okay, we can decide to backfill.
I'm just gonna tell you, I've kind of soured on these working capital projects.
They're a little
unless
difficult to
I
swallow.
think they need to submit it should be like a home equity loan. You submit a draw request with documentation of what you're using the money for. Cause we have no idea with the other one that went bad, where the money went. We were told where they're going to use it. Do we know they used it for that?
Yeah, I found a good point, Marshall.
Okay.
what about the fact that with all that given, if we back out of, if I want to vote yes or no on this resolution, there's part of me that says vote no and open the door. Would she be applicable for a micro enterprise loan?
She's already got the 180 approved from another.
Right.
We're a co-participation. We're in 4th place. Really, was it Watertown LDC?
Yep.
So they're just saying, we're gonna give $180,000, which is the full ask. And they've gone to other economic development agencies. Are you willing to participate? They've already approved it. So if we're 0, they're still approved it.
Yeah.
So they've approved
So
the full of 180. The actual end user is still being protected through one of the economic development agencies, and probably the most appropriate, but it doesn't mean the county, we're a county economic. Childcare was one of our key focuses. This is just unfortunately kind of a big ask, a risky thing. It's a bridge loan, but I'll read the resolution. We can pick a number between 0 and 60 and kind of move forward, because to the point of tabling it doesn't help. I don't think just bringing it up is going to change anything. It actually makes the debt greater in the future.
With that being so open-ended, it's like we should support it just for creditability.
I'm gonna leave that to the board. So the ask is 60, and after I read the resolution, we go through it, and if the board says, I'd like 10, I'd like 0, then I'm gonna leave it up to the board after I read it.
I've got to apologize, I'm gonna go.
Okay, just because you don't want to vote on this. I know.
I learned that from.
Waiting for the
I learned that
right.
from one of my
The
legislators.
right. Hey, sorry, I can't help it. Thank you, Bill. No problem. So I'll wait for Bill to leave the door. Read this. So resolution number 03.05.2026.02, resolution for authorizing a revolving loan to the Treehouse Hourly Childcare LLC. It's a revolving loan being asked for $60,000, which is couched as the bridge loan for operations. We've already gone through the discussion to cover state reimbursement increase that is expected to be approved, but not. The Watertown Local Development Corporation has already approved $180,000. They're asking for us to co-participate with North Country Alliance. So I think their expectation is that the 180 is split 3 ways, 60, 60, 60. So the ask for us is $60,000 RLF, 10-year amortization, balloon after 1 year, interest only for 12 months, rate 6%. There are 48 employees. We would be in 4th co-proportional position with LDC and NCA, subordinate to other institutions that have already lended. And I think that's kind of the key stuff here. So I'm going to ask for a resolution to pass this, and then we can modify it during discussion if necessary. So resolution to move the discussion.
I'll make
Or,
a
excuse me,
motion.
a motion to move the resolution.
I
to
move
Okay.
we move the resolution.
And a second.
Second.
Okay. Now we can have discussion. I mean, we already had a healthy discussion, but
Just a quick question, how many kids can they handle? Special needs
I
kids,
feel like it was
23?
in here.
so that's significant.
Yeah, it's, again, it's a very strong community need. We have to determine if we have the revenue to loan to something of this nature and in short term. Or
We have the money. The question is the risk factor and the unknown when they already have an approval for it,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Well, nothing says, down the road, it's like, do we want 20 or 60? Then that's another.
My belief is 60 is too high of a number. I'm fine. I just picked a number 20-ish. Could be 10, 15, but like, I don't think zero's the right answer, but I don't think 60 is the right
But
answer.
we're not at that point with this resolution, right?
No, we can modify it. I mean, if we don't want to modify
Well,
the
is
resolution.
the expectation right now, the resolution we're coming in at the 60? Or
That's
60?
what was read, but we can, as a board, modify the resolution before we vote on it.
We could still-
Correct, Justin?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, that's.
Okay. So we can
We
do
can
anything.
table this also.
We can also vote no and move it. So we can do any of the above. So
Well, can
the
we-
full funds are already approved and being dealt with through LDC. Whether we do or don't take action isn't gonna necessarily, but it's not gonna necessarily look better in a month.
This is just to de-risk the LDC, the Watertown LDC's loan.
Yeah.
That is at its core, that is what is happening here. And so, I guess I have full support of the Watertown LDC. I support the Watertown LDC on this, but it's a little different here in the situation.
So, chain of events, if we pass this resolution and commit to 60,000, is the LDC gonna pull back and put 120 on the table?
Or 60 if they
Or
get the other
60 if
60 from
NCA.
NCA.
Yeah.
Because NCA is being asked for 60,000.
And
We're being asked for 60.
NCA loan review meets this afternoon,
Okay.
so, because they haven't even met on it.
Well,
They meet.
plug your ears. So 180 has already been approved, and that's the ask for the borrower, the actual end user. And as Marshall said, we're just de-risking LDC. I personally don't think zero is the right answer, but I don't think 60 is the right answer. So to a point where we take some limited risk to continue our support of childcare is not a terrible thing. I just don't think the risk of this loan, if LDC is already willing to, that we need to de-risk them that much. I hate to say it that way, but that's how I feel. So I just look for the board's pleasure, because if you want to table it, I'm fine with that too.
Well, what about if we modify it to the 30,000? Is everybody?
That's why we're having a discussion. Somebody's got to actually make an alternate resolution, otherwise this is what we're voting on. So we can agree to just table it, that's fine. We can agree to modify it, or we just vote for the 60 and it's either a yes or no. There's a couple actions here. So we just need to understand from
We'll have
us
to go through
six
the
what
whole
we're gonna do.
process again. I make a motion.
Are there contingencies? Are you looking for something if they table it?
Not that I'm aware of. NCA may have some contingencies on their end, and I have talked to NCA folks, and I guess that there was questions about which way this was going to go from their side as well.
I'd feel comfortable to settle this and not have to go through the whole thing again.
But not at the 60.
At the 60,
Not
I
at
would
the 60.
right, not at the 60, I modify it to up to.
I'm in the same boat as you, I just don't know what the right
Up
number
to the
is.
30,000, because I think we could, if this thing goes bad, we can absorb that.
Okay. I guess, Lisa, you more for modifying?
Yes, modify.
Okay. And Paul, more for modifying or a straight vote? and John threw out the tabling. I'm
Listen,
fine any way we can.
Someone who babysits grandchildren, I understand the need for childcare, okay? I also understand our need to be more concerned about the risk factor based upon our recent history. So, but if we're gonna reduce it, I guess I could support that. Whether or not that screws up the Watertown Trust's position.
Not every request is met. I mean, that's the way I look at life. So it's that simple. We have to look at the risk we're willing to accept as an agency. So, we've already got a lot of risk as an agency.
I would like to point out our, this body's support for childcare, especially, since COVID, that, I mean, we have gone above and beyond, in support of childcare. It's supporting them with ARPA funds, as well as this agency from staff time. We've been talking with childcare.
We put out over 800 grand
Right.
in childcare through
Nobody
the
can-
ARPA program.
Nobody can question the
Yeah.
work we've done to support childcare in Jefferson.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. John, are you still leaning heavily towards just tabling it and thinking about it later, or would you
No,
be
I would-
willing
I
to
would-
discuss an alternate?
No, I would consider modifying it to
Okay.
30,000. support.
So between the 4 remaining board members, let's somebody make a
Call the
modification to it.
I'll make
I
the
did.
motion to accept the resolution with a modification to $30,000 participation.
Okay, we can continue, actually.
Second that.
Okay, second. Now we can continue the discussion to make sure we're comfortable with the 30. Any other modifications to the 30, or we?
It's a standard participation.
Okay, I mean, I think it's a lower amount than LDC has asked, but I think it's a fair acceptance of some risk.
It helps the trust out.
Yeah, I
And
think
it
it's a
shows
fair
response, it shows cooperation, it shows support.
So we've modified the resolution only by changing where it says 60 to 30. All of the other terms stay the same. Interest only 12 months, 6% rate, and all the other, et cetera. So we have a first, second. If there's no other discussion, we'll take a vote on this. And this one's not roll call, is it? Just, okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
For the modified, and any opposed? The modified resolution carries. Thank you. That was a good discussion.
Yes.
I think that's what our strategic planning is all about, having
Then
more
we
of
don't
these
have to handle it
discussions.
all again.
Okay, moving forward to, what are we on, 155? Man, is it 155? No, 176, I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong one. It's amazing.
Big numbers.
I can't even read the numbers, they're so big. So again, I think, let me read the resolution, then we can have the discussion within the, and the LDC members are certainly able to participate in the discussion. So we have Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency, resolution number 03.05.2026.03, resolution for authorizing a modification to the microenterprise loan to CCTI LLC, otherwise known as Collins Cherry Tree Inn LLC. They are delinquent 5 months, current balance of $18,734. At loan review and with staff, we reviewed a request to recommend within this resolution a payment of late fees and interest only until July 1. And at that point, there would be an expectation the balloon would be made, the property we believe is for sale, and we can kind of close this out in a very natural and efficient way. So the modification is only to accept, aren't they on interest only now? No, they're not. They've
They
been
haven't
kind of
paid
doing it.
yet.
Okay, so this is a true modification of the loan repayment to interest only. Now, Doreen, it says late fees in here. So I know we're assessing them, but are they paying late fees each
They
month?
haven't paid anything.
This might be, but I mean, this, the way this is modified is confusing me. It says recommended payment of late fees and interest only. Are
At
we
least
gonna
get
assess-
caught up to what's in arrears for the late
Okay.
fees and then interest only going forward to July.
So I feel like this isn't written what you're explaining to me, or I'm really dense. Are we not just asking for interest only between now and July, and then you accrue all the late fees, or are
It's
we also?
accrued late fees up till now that have already been assessed
Okay,
to get rid of those.
okay, so they've agreed to zero that out.
They
and
have
then-
not been approached yet. This was my proposal to
Okay.
try to help.
Okay. I don't know if I confused everybody. It's confusing the way it's worded to me.
There was an ask for an amendment to the loan based on hardship.
Okay,
This was my proposal.
okay.
There's been no other discussion with the client.
Why don't we get a first and a second, and we can discuss if the language needs to be massaged. So the ask is recommended payment of late fees due, which is past due, I'm assuming, and interest only until July 1, 2026 because of hardship. And then at that point, we receive a balloon for whatever the number is. So if we can have a motion to
So
accept this
moved.
resolution. John?
Second.
Paul, Ed, you guys.
How much
So
of the
now we
late
can have a
fees?
discussion.
How much of the late fees?
They're like 30?
Yeah,
I
something
think
like
they're
that.
30th payment.
So she's gotta come up with $150 and pay interest for the next.
Yeah, I mean, she,
Still 3 months.
Yeah.
Which she ought to be able to do.
I'm also, now I'm blowing off on this one too. But personal, like, this has always been a seasonal business. They always shut down during winter. So this is a difficult time of the year to begin with for them. And they're also going through some personal employment, I say things, where their income isn't what it usually is during the winter. So this would allow them a little relief until they reopen in the spring. I believe she mentioned the middle of March, which is a couple weeks away now. To build up some payments and some cash flow to get this back on track.
okay. And there are some more figures on like 177, 178, so they're 150 or so. I think was the,
Do we file UCC
Right,
agreements
I'm
on
doing
these?
lunch every day.
no, they're never open. So
I don't believe
you can't help
so.
them.
So there's UCCs on these, or is there? There are.
They're just never open.
Just want to make sure it was to sell, that at
We should
closing,
get
we
paid.
should be made whole. They
Yeah.
wouldn't have.
Yeah.
The loan officer certainly wouldn't give.
No, we probably have to remind that person, whoever they may be.
So should the property sell, debt versus
Are they,
assets?
are they
They're in
gonna
a good
open,
position from that
position.
perspective. Again, I'm not.
are they gonna open this year? I thought there was some question whether,
My conversation, she's opening March, because they're gonna run it as is, right?
okay,
On a parallel track, they're gonna have it for sale.
okay.
It looks like it's opening, driveway's plowed, but it really has not been open for business as of yet. But there are also like 5 people walking around Henderson. It's not like there's a big population in March and February. This, there isn't a big
Every time I
population.
call you, you're out walking.
Yeah, it's just me. I'm one of the 5. And I see no one. There's like one guy way out on the ice fishing, God knows what. But yeah, there really is a very seasonal population.
Henderson hasn't had that to delay discussion, but ice fishing's been good for everybody.
Yeah,
People in
but
town.
weirdly enough,
Fishing.
unlike say 3 Mile Bay and stuff, I don't think the ice fishermen actually eat at the facilities. Or they go over to Westview because they're brought there as guide services through Bill Safe Outdoors. So like a lot of times they're brought in by like a package. And you know, look, there's another restaurant for sale. There's one closed. I mean, there are like 5 restaurants in Henderson, and 2 are for sale, and 1's closed. So like it's well, I mean, it's a tough place. It's a place where it's very seasonal, but it's not a Clayton thing where people are just visiting it and I'm going to go out to dinner. I mean, if I pulled this room, I doubt any of you ever think about going to Henderson to go have a dinner.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
I
not
do.
true.
Okay, maybe
Wing
one of you.
night.
But it's kind of that tweener. You either stop at Sackett or you go the other
Well, and
direction.
it was in summertime, so.
Yeah. So anyway, it is a tough place for the tourism.
Call the question, Mr. Chairman.
What's that?
Call the question.
Yeah, we have a first and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Let's move. Thank you. Page 179. So this is Watertown Industrial Center Local Development Corporation 2026 pilot extension. It's already been reviewed by council, by staff. We have an existing pilot. Is it 10 years? Marshall?
Yes, Bill, it's 10 years, right? Yeah.
So we have a
Yes.
10-year pilot. It's just becoming for renewal. We kept it status quo, very closely held a relationship, obviously. Resolution number 03.05.2026.04, resolution of the Jefferson County Industrial Development Agency accepting an application for extended financial assistance from the Watertown Industrial Center Local Development Corporation here in the company, extending the appointment of the company as agent in connection with a certain project as more fully described below, describing the forms of financial assistance being contemplated by the agency, authorizing the execution and delivery of an amended lease agreement, pilot agreement, and related documents with respect to the project, authorizing the provision of certain financial assistance to the company as further defined herein, adopting findings with respect to the seeker, State Environmental Quality Review Act, and authorizing execution of related documents with respect to the project. Projects described in the second whereas clause. It gives lot numbers and building sizes, etc. What is the pilot information? So the pilot was initially put in place in 1995. This is like several down the line of extension. They're set to expire March 31, 2026, and we're approving a 10-year extension of the original pilot. I don't see any values in here. There's documents. I don't know, Bill or Marshall, if you want to add anything to it. I mean, it's an existing agreement.
Existing agreement, going forward in the same manner that it has, this facility is an important engine for new growth in the county, and we're excited to move forward.
Bill, anything to add? No?
I'll just add something simple everybody pretty much knows. Obviously, yeah, it's a community asset, right? But with that said, there's been a lot of success stories that started at this facility with the assistance we provide to rent or build outs and whatnot. Some of those names, you have current applications started here. 3 guys, empty building, we had trouble leasing it. They came in, the agency gave a loan, and look where they're at now. Henderson Manufacturing, when Frank closed, a couple of the employees there got together, and Henderson started in the back of Building A, and again, look where they're at now. And just going forward from that, we have Structural Associates. They were here. They have their own building. On-site testing was here. They're down in, was it General Brown now, when you're going down there on their left-hand side. Bell Technologies, they started here, moved to Atlanta. Watertown Local Development Corporation, Building A, they're now downtown. Shredcon, they started here, 2 guys, and look where they're at. And there's some more, but again, it's a great community asset for what we do. So it's just economic development. I appreciate all the assistance on this.
Okay.
Still at the Railroad Club?
Yeah, Railroad Club's still here.
There's the important one right there. It's got to keep Mike White happy.
Yeah.
I would move the resolution.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Good. Any other discussion? This is a roll call vote.
Rob,
Yes.
Dave is absent, John,
Yes.
Bill is absent, Lisa,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and Paul.
Yes.
Okay, unfinished business. Does this involve Bowers? or
See you,
us?
Bill.
I didn't even get down this far in the fact.
This is
257.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
the account report, was that included in the discussion? I believe it was.
I feel like it was, but this
No.
is specific to the Watertown Airport Business Complex.
This is for the grant?
This is for the ESD, or the Power Up grant that we're doing.
Okay, so I
We
got,
haven't submitted yet, but we have to have approval from the board to submit the Power Up grant that
okay,
we're
if we
working
can
on.
exercise your fingers and go all the way to 257.
Let's go. Oh, no.
Independent report.
Okay, sorry. The first one is the independent report for ESD. Okay, so for the reimbursement of the 360, the Bowers had to review all of our backup invoices to make sure there were no discrepancies or anything. ESD required that. So they approved, they went through those invoices and gave us a letter, which I submitted with ESD for that 360 yesterday. So that's what this one is for.
Okay, so this was not in the audit, this is separate.
No,
from-
this is totally
but As
separate.
part of the audit, this is part of their work, okay.
Right, and this will be a separate bill, separate charge.
So do we need board action
I
on
think we need
this?
to approve
Do
this.
just, are we just
Just
approving?
approving it.
We're just
yeah.
gonna approve the auditor's findings,
That's
which were not part of the audit yet.
Right, that's correct.
I just wanna make sure it wasn't in the.
Yeah, I
This
was
letter,
trying to
there's
scroll
so many
down.
letters, this one didn't look like one we discussed.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was trying to scroll to the bottom of it to get to see which one it was.
we have a motion.
I'll move it.
Okay, second.
Second.
Any other discussion on what the auditors have cited here for best practices? Okay, barring any, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? That moves on, new and I think final business, page 259. Of course,
No, wait a
Marshall.
minute.
This one, you, Robin, I hope, because
Yeah.
Marshall just disappeared.
Okay, yeah, this is,
This is power up.
right, this is the power up. This is where we're applying for, to get electricity to the airport park.
Mhm.
And this is a grant through New York State, through ESD, a power up grant to help offset some of those costs. But we have to get approval from the board before we submit it. Hopefully, we're waiting on some information from National Grid, mostly what it's gonna cost. But hopefully we get this submitted either end of this month or next month.
So this really is just a grant in value, not necessarily the total cost.
No, that's
Okay,
correct.
So 450 is our ask, and that's a reasonable amount.
That we're at, yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
I'll move this.
Okay.
Thank you,
We have
Jim.
a second, okay. I guess I'll read it. Sorry. Resolution 03.05, 2026-05, application for grant funding, ESD, as discussed. We did have a first and second, it's $450,000. Any other discussion before we vote?
What was the, is the 450 the maximum amount? Where did that number come from?
This is the, Marshall and I, we had a, how we came up to the 450, Marshall. We had a previous number
From National Grid and
with
for the
Comcast.
sake of being sure and that we wouldn't go under, I tripled the number. I'm
What
sorry,
we got
I
for
wanted.
But you still can't spend more or get grant more than you're gonna spend.
Exactly,
Okay.
and so, and we believe that the number that comes back from National Grid, I just made it so ridiculously high that it wouldn't be, that we wouldn't have to come back to
Do you
do it
really want
again.
that recorded?
Well, not ridiculous, yeah, that's not the right word. I made it high enough that we didn't.
He contemplated alternative, unknown costs.
I tripled our previous costs to make sure that we would be covered.
I don't think ridiculously high.
Yeah, we are talking about power infrastructure, so.
Who knows?
It's a
Might
total.
be too low.
My electric bill is ridiculous.
I know.
There's a lot of that lately.
Yes, it is.
They tripled.
Okay, so, Justin, we're at the point, I don't think you have anything to offer here. I know we're up
Have we
against a
voted
couple
on this
deadlines
yet?
that were
No,
discussed in
no.
executive session. Is there anything we need to go in executive session for?
Rob, we haven't voted on the resolution.
Oh, my God. I thought we did say yes or no.
No.
John moved it.
Yeah, we have it first.
We have a-
I thought I raised my hand. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, sorry, I just thought we did that. Just moving on. So Justin, what I just got done saying, anything, I know we have a couple things that are kind of inside the executive session that we're pumping up against. Is there anything we need to deal with today from yourself or?
Nothing in open session, yeah.
Okay.
If you want executive, we can get caught up.
I mean, you can just also update Marshall, is it at that point? Because we've been having discussions with your partner on the one activity.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah, if you guys wanna, punt on an executive, we can keep, yourself and Mark.
Okay, that's fine, as long as there's nothing to really update the board on, that's good. Adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn. Seems like a first, second, and third. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? So we'll move to our last meeting, which is usually the shortest.
See you, Chuck.
Take care.
Thanks,
See you, sir.
Thanks, Joe.
Go originate some loans, will you?
Loans closed. So, as soon as my computer cooperates, we will call the meeting, or call the order of the Jefferson County Facility Development Corporation, annual board meeting, March 5th, 2026. The minutes are on page 3 from, actually, last meeting was January, or was it February here? January. Do I have a motion to accept those?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Minutes are accepted. We have an annual meeting resolution. So this audit was already reviewed with the IDA, correct? Yeah, so they're coupled with the IDA. Our annual meeting resolution number 03.05.2026.01. Annual meeting resolutions of the Jefferson County Civic Facility Development Corporation, the corporation, including the acceptance of annual audit, ratification of certain policy standards, procedures relating to the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005 as amended by Chapter 506 of the laws of 2009 of the state of New York, election of board of officers, appointing board committee positions, appointment of corporation staff and related matters. And again, there's 20 or 30 pages, some parish reporting, some other things. We already reviewed the audit with Bowers earlier, so if we have a motion to move this resolution, Paul's the first, I think I heard a second. Lisa?
Second.
Yeah, okay. You looked like you were waving your hand, but
I might as well be.
good enough. We're gonna just pick people out of the crowd. So any other discussion? This one is a roll call vote, Peggy? Or is it? Yeah, it is.
Dave is absent. John?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bill is absent. And Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution carries. Paul, I think starting on 37, there's 2 months of some activity.
Yes, there is. And there's no activity. We have,
That's all zero.
it's all zeros. We have a total assets of $40,726.
Okay. And motion to accept your report?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? None. I don't think we have committees unfinished new business in this meeting. Maybe we can move right to adjournment.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second. And all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? We stand adjourned. Public session is now done. Thank you. Thank you. It's a lot to get through. It was 3 minutes before I was hoping to get out of here. Thanks, Justin.